The next income reset will not arrive through layoffs. It will arrive through normalization. Headcount steady, titles intact, calendars full, meetings scheduled, performance reviews completed. And yet, the economic power attached to those titles begins to narrow quietly and without announcement. This is the silent pay cut. Most U.S. professionals earning between $110,000 and $150,000 still interpret risk through a binary lens. You are either employed or unemployed. If you remain employed, you assume your trajectory is intact. That assumption was rational in a world where leverage was visible. When your absence slowed decisions, blocked coordination, or increased executive uncertainty, your compensation reflected measurable dependency. Organizations paid premiums for friction because friction was expensive. Scarcity created negotiating power. Negotiating power created large raise cycles and meaningful promotion jumps. The structural shift underway is not elimination, it is dilution. AI does not need to outperform you. It only needs to reduce how much the system depends on you. When reporting becomes automatic, prioritization becomes assisted, and risk detection becomes statistical, the organization absorbs part of what historically justified your upward salary acceleration. You still work hard. You may work harder. But if 20% of your previous leverage is embedded into tooling, 20% of your negotiating power disappears. That 20% used to fund aggressive raises. Compensation strategy does not reward effort. It prices dependency. Finance evaluates how much volatility increases if a function disappears. If volatility barely moves because systems sustain continuity, the defensible salary ceiling narrows. The adjustment does not show up as a pay cut. It appears as slower merit growth, smaller bonus multipliers, narrower promotion deltas, reduced equity refreshes. A professional earning $150,000 expects movement toward $180,000. Instead, progression becomes $150,000 to $155,000 to $159,000. On paper, that is growth. In leverage terms, it is compression. This is where stress and power separate. Workload often increases during compression cycles. Fewer managers oversee more teams. Fewer analysts support more executives. Dashboards generate more alerts. The volume of information expands. Professionals keep the meetings but lose the decisions. They keep the responsibility but lose the authority. That is the brutal combination. Stress rises, power shrinks. A silent pay cut is not a reduction in hours. It is a reduction in consequence. If your absence creates inconvenience but not disruption, your pricing power declines even if your workload does not. AI reduces disruption risk by embedding redundancy inside systems. Redundancy diffuses consequence across workflows rather than concentrating it in individuals. When consequence diffuses, scarcity erodes. When scarcity erodes, compensation ceilings flatten. The distinction between replacement and replaceability becomes decisive. Replacement is visible. It produces severance packages and headlines. Replaceability is mathematical. It lives inside spreadsheets that simulate output variance under personnel changes. If output variance remains stable because parts of your function are automated, salary bands recalibrate even while employment continues. The organization does not need to remove you to reprice you. It only needs alternatives credible enough to reduce dependency density. Consider a $125,000 operations leader whose value historically came from synthesizing fragmented signals across teams. If integrated dashboards now surface those signals automatically and predictive alerts flag drift in real time, executive reliance narrows. The leader still attends meetings, still coordinates edge cases, still escalates issues, but the scarcity that once justified rapid income acceleration weakens. Over multiple review cycles, raises moderate. Bonuses normalize. Equity refreshes contract. Nothing dramatic happens. Yet cumulative earnings flatten relative to revenue owners and system architects. This is surplus redistribution. When dependency on coordination nodes declines, retained margin shifts upward. Enterprises preserve more economic surplus because fewer roles act as structural choke points. The gains concentrate around capital allocators, revenue owners, and those who design the rules of the system. Mid-layer professionals experience normalization. Normalization is corporate language for repricing without confrontation. Many professionals misinterpret busyness as leverage. Full calendars feel like evidence of importance. Activity does not equal authority. If your job consists primarily of aligning stakeholders who already see the same dashboard, your bargaining power is vulnerable. Alignment was valuable when visibility was scarce. When visibility becomes universal, alignment becomes expected rather than scarce. Expected functions do not command pricing premiums. This is why silent compression feels confusing. Performance reviews remain positive. Feedback remains supportive. You are told you are valuable, yet your compensation delta narrows. The organization appreciates you. It simply depends on you less. Appreciation does not create scarcity. Dependency does. Over a decade, the compounding effect becomes significant. If expected growth falls from 8% annually to 3% due to leverage absorption, lifetime earnings shift materially. Nominal salary rises. Relative market position declines. Relative positioning determines negotiating leverage in external offers and internal promotions. Once your growth velocity signal weakens, compensation committees anchor downward. Recovery requires exceptional differentiation rather than consistent performance. A second-order structural shift reinforces this compression. As coordination costs decline, spans of control widen. Directors manage more teams. Vice presidents consolidate functions. Fewer titles carry true authority. Titles remain, authority concentrates. Professionals keep the meetings but lose the decisions. They keep responsibility for outcomes but lose discretion over trade-offs. Stress without authority becomes common. The psychological trap is subtle. Most professionals prepare for layoffs because layoffs are visible. They rarely prepare for repricing because repricing feels gradual. Employment continuity becomes a false proxy for economic stability. If your role is gradually absorbed into optimized systems, your salary trajectory plateaus, even while your employment continues uninterrupted. The future compensation divide will not primarily separate employed from unemployed. It will separate leveraged from neutralized. Leveraged roles control revenue allocation, capital deployment, system architecture, or strategic choke points. Neutralized roles participate inside workflows whose friction has already been engineered out. Both groups remain busy. Only one group retains pricing power. For a professional earning $140,000, targeting $200,000 within a decade, the relevant metric is not hours worked or performance ratings. It is dependency density. How many revenue streams stall if you exit? How many capital decisions pause? How many constraint frameworks fail? If the honest answer is minimal because tooling provides continuity, your leverage gradient is flattening. AI does not need to replace you. It only needs to make your absence survivable. Silent pay cuts are therefore not financial accidents. They are structural outcomes of reduced friction. As systems improve, mid-layer scarcity declines. Scarcity decline suppresses salary acceleration. Enterprises rationalize this as efficiency. They are correct, but efficiency gains do not distribute evenly. They concentrate at ownership layers. Over 5 years, divergence widens. 2 professionals remain fully employed at $130,000. One accelerates toward $190,000 because their role governs revenue strategy or capital allocation logic. The other plateaus around $150,000 because their coordination function is embedded in tooling. Externally, both appear stable. Internally, their leverage gradients separate sharply. The divergence compounds invisibly until compensation bands no longer overlap. Purchasing power erosion becomes visible only after enough time has passed for compounding to reveal it. A salary that increases modestly each year may still underperform inflation, equity appreciation in leveraged roles, and opportunity cost of capital. The professional feels secure while their relative economic position declines. The absence of crisis hides the presence of repricing. Most professionals prepare emotionally for termination. Very few analyze their replaceability gradient across a decade. The greater risk is not sudden unemployment. It is gradual normalization at a lower leverage ceiling that feels reasonable each year and irreversible once compounded. By the time the plateau becomes undeniable, the structural redistribution that caused it will already be embedded in enterprise architecture. Stability in that environment is not evidence of strength. It is often evidence that pricing power has already shifted elsewhere.